Alright, the Dragon versus Bear, China versus Russia in the 21st century. Starting off, by the way, I am playing scenario 3. It's called Build Up. So this scenario begins after both sides have built up their forces. I'm starting with it because it's most of the units already on the board, shortest in the number of turns, 8 turns altogether. Yeah, it just seemed to be a good place to start. Seemed things would be more straightforward as far as learning the rules. But just to let you know, the scenario 1 is preemptive war. This war begins as a preemptive strike without any prior mobilization. It lasts 12 turns. Then you have scenario 2 called mobilization. The war begins after both sides have mobilized their forces along the frontier, and that lasts 10 turns. So back to playing scenario 3, build up. I determined, well, there's a procedure for determining first and second player, which I already did. So the Russian side is going to be player number 1, and the Chinese will be player number 2, obviously. So I'm going to be going over various ideas, rules from the very beginning. In other words, I set up all these units not without giving it too much thought. Well, no, I did give it thought, but I didn't give it any particular thought. In other words, I did a general Chinese defense in depth, not a lot on the border, not a lot near the border. So this, what I mean by that is, here's the border between China and Russia. So this border right here is the border between Russia and China. It goes here, goes around here and up here. So in this salient right here, there's not a lot of forces. So I concentrated the defense deeper into China. And for the Russians, basically, I set up these multiple attack avenues of attack, corridors. But I don't know that I actually set up right as far as, okay, here's a supply source, supply base, supply source. I set it up here. I don't know if there are rules controlling that. I set up air bases like this air base. So this is a Russian air base and a Russian attack fighter unit. So I don't know what the rules are for setting up, so that's what I'm reviewing now. What types of limitations are there? I'm not sure. So we're talking about setups. The scenario instructions describe setups in terms of unit types and combat factors. So it'll say like a Special Forces brigade. This is a Russian Special Forces brigade. Doesn't matter what particular designation is there. Units can be set up anywhere in their designated areas. So as I recall, you have your national areas, which is obvious, and then for the Chinese you have 2 different military regions. You have the Shenyang military region and the Beijing military region. So there were units that start in those particular military regions, and then the remainder of the Chinese forces can be set up on anywhere within China. You have forces setting up in North Korea, which is a small area way on the other side of the map, that way. You have Mongolia over here. You have a few units that start in Mongolia. Russians start within Russia. It's all pretty straightforward, actually. But it does say units can be set up in zones of control. So here, these units are already in each other's zones of control, and there's some more over there as well. All right, I'm not going to catch the whole map on the screen, so I'll try to remember to talk through everything. But it says you cannot start over stacked. So the question is, what is stacking in this game? Stacking, ground unit stacking. Stacking defined, having more than one unit. Okay, we know what stacking is. Air and hyper war strikes are governed by other stacking rules. All ground combat and support units count for stacking unless otherwise specified. Real quickly, what the designer defines as hyper war is this idea, this gaming idea, represents advanced weapons, networking systems, precision-guided munitions, cruise missiles, cyber war capabilities, electronic warfare, sensors, etc. So, high-tech, basically. Stacking limit. Generally, a player can stack up to 2 friendly core-sized units in each hex. However, city hexes allow a player to stack up to 3 friendly core-sized units in each home or allied city hex, but not in any city hex in a foreign country, even if captured. Okay, so I definitely do not think that I overstacked anything, because I purposely did not create any major stacks here. Yeah, so I think I'm fine. It's up to 2 core. Here's a core. Oh, here's 2 core right here. So right here on the border in this city of Borzen, I have 2 cores. So there's an example. So that's max stack right there, max stacked. And I don't see. Oh, there might be one more. Yeah, there is one more. There's one more. So we have a mech and combined arms core here, and we have the same idea of mech and a combined arms core on the kind of the opposite side of the border, but over by Vladivostok. Yeah, over by Vladivostok, not in Vladivostok, but about 1, 2, 3 hexes. 1, 2, 3 hexes from Vladivostok. So what's the scale? Game map. What's the scale? Unit sizes, hyper, WMD, game scale. Alright, so each hex is 40 miles or 64 kilometers, about 64 kilometers from side to side. So 120 miles from Vladivostok is the other of these 2 core stacks right there. Okay. Alright, so now let's talk about supply sources, and then we'll talk about air bases. So supply, is it under logistics? I don't think. Okay, logistics units, supply radius. Where can they be set up? Supply radius. Okay, so maybe there isn't anything particular. Okay, I don't see anything particular about this supply sources. Oh wait, they move. Never mind. Oh, so there's a base side with 0 movement allowance, and then there's a supply side with movement allowance. So which one should I have set them up on? Bases. Okay. Maybe I should have set them up on their base side. Alright, well, I'll go through and check that. Now, air bases, base units. Air base units represent the airfields, command and control, and ground support ordnance for airstrikes. They can launch airstrikes. Each airbase unit is printed with a parenthesized number, which is the number of air units which can be based on it. Oops, I was using the wrong number. Oh, no, I think that's a typo. Or not a typo, but a rules change. Oh wait, this has a movement. Oh, that's funny. This has a. How does an airbase have a movement allowance? Alright, I'm not even gonna wonder about that right now. I thought it was this number here. I think it is that number. It's not parenthesized. Airbases are ground units, and they otherwise follow rules for ground unit. That is weird. Airbase movement. So they do move like land units. I don't even know what to say. This is some serious future. What? Alright. Moving air bases.